I have to admit, I didn't grow up playing Resident Evil. I am an absolute wimp when it comes to horror games. Me. I hate this game. I was the kind of guy who would read all the Wikipedia pages for things that scared me, and then move on with my life. Before we dive into the story of Requiem, I think it's important for me to contextualize my history with the series. It's a little embarrassing, so diehard Resident Evil fans, you might want to cover your ears. First up, Resident Evil 5 in 2019. Maybe not the worst jumping in point for the series, but yeah, it definitely immediately changed everything I thought I knew about what in the hell Resident Evil is. My buddy and I were itching for a co-op game, and I gotta say, it scratched that itch. Chris punching that boulder, Albert freaking Wesker, I was like, oh, okay, this series is absolute schlock. And I loved every second of it. I don't think I ever stopped laughing. Not so quick side story, my first true exposure to Resident Evil was at Dragon Con in 2017. While waiting in line to see Charles Martinet, a group near us was talking to me and my friends about some off-the-records Resident Evil erotic fanfic reading happening in the same room later that night at like 11 p.m. When we get to the room, it is absolutely packed. Who else is there but Albert Wesker's mother effing voice actor DC Douglas reading Resident Evil erotic fan fiction in character. One of the greatest nights of my life. And I wasn't even a fan then. About a year after RE5, I decided to give the original Resident Evil remaster a go, and boy, that gave me some whiplash. But still, it oozed so much charm despite being a mostly way more serious game. I apparently stopped only halfway through and have still not beaten it. Around the same time, RE7 was out and getting all the hype, but I knew it wasn't for me. No freaking way. Too scary. Then I saw a trailer for Village, and I instantly knew I had to play it. This, of course, also meant I had to play RE7 first, which I did, on easy mode with the guide open next to me the whole time, and I was still scared shitless. Pathetic. I know. But it enabled me to play Village immediately after, and oh my god do I love that game. It's scary, it's full of schlock, a bonkers plot, things that barely make sense, and I truly think it's a masterpiece. Then I played the RE2 remake and loved that too. Man, what an awesome world that I want to know more about, and play all the games and really get sucked in. Haha, nope. I didn't play another RE game until my buddy and I co-opted RE6 a year later. Great fun to laugh at, but the idea of playing it solo makes me shudder.
I lost all my men because of her! And I lost over 70,000 people, including the president.
Picked up RE0 on a Steam sale in 2023. Apparently also only got through half of it before I stopped. God damn it. There you go. My highly irregular Resident Evil gaming timeline. Looking at it now, geez, I truly apologize. I don't know what happened. No, I haven't played 4. I own the RE3 remake. Still haven't touched it. I swear I want to play them all. Revelations, Code Veronica, Revelations 2. I promise I will. I just need something to inspire me to go back. June 6, 2025. Resident Evil Requiem is announced. I watched the trailer.
There's no escaping your destiny.
Oh god, this looks way too scary. There is no way I can play this. I bought it day 1. I just finished my 4th playthrough to 100% of the game on Insanity.
I'm here.
Definitely the Nintendo way though. No infinite RPGs or anything like that. Nope, not me. Needless to say, I absolutely loved Resident Evil Requiem. Let's talk about it. Spoilers abound for Requiem ahead. If you have any inkling of desire to experience it for yourself, please stop watching this and go play it now. Even if it seems too scary, I promise if I can get through it, so can you. Final warning. Okay, let's dive in. Resident Evil Requiem opens in the present day focused on young FBI analyst Grace Ashcroft. Grace is the daughter of Alyssa Ashcroft, Raccoon City resident and reporter featured in RE Outbreak. Grace's boss sends her out to the Wrenwood Hotel to investigate a mysterious body. Okay, seems a little bit outside of Grace's duties as a desk analyst, but, you know, maybe he sees some potential in her and it was opportunity for growth.
I know. That's where your mother was murdered.
You mean that this is the hotel her mom was murdered in right in front of her 8 years ago? This is why I love Resident Evil. Maybe Boss Man here is evil and he's in on it. But until proven otherwise, my headcanon is literally that this guy just sends his new desk agent to the ultimate manifestation of all of Grace's trauma by herself. No notes. Arriving at the hotel, it becomes apparent immediately that Grace is being watched. Someone knew she was coming. Okay, yeah, Boss Man has to be in on this. The tension culminates when Grace reaches room 204, the same room she stayed in with her mother 8 years ago. The bed is littered with pictures of Grace. Someone is stalking her. A flashback scene ensues where a mysterious man murders Alyssa. Before she dies, Alyssa hides something behind a painting in the lobby, which Grace remembers and retrieves in the present. Inside is her mother's diary, where she fears for Grace's life and senses that someone is stalking her. Also inside is an unmarked floppy disk. Before Grace can find answers, the cop from before shows up, complaining of a sting.
Something stung me.
He transforms into a zombie right in front of her. Interesting to note is that he's so capable of some human speech. Managing to just barely escape with her life, Grace stumbles into a room where a very creepy, very infected man sits patiently. Pretty unnecessarily badass. Shame he's a real bad dude. He informs Grace that it hasn't been easy, but he has finally found her. The special one, the chosen one. Grace is abducted. Thankfully, Daddy, I mean 50-year-old Leon Kennedy, arrives at the scene, investigating the same report. We also discover that the man who kidnapped Grace is Dr. Victor Gideon, a former T-virus researcher with Umbrella. Brazenly walking in the street with Grace over one shoulder, incredible plan, I must say, Leon spots the incredibly auspicious Victor. But, thanks to a zombie gun, and what's more deliciously evil than a gun that instantly turns people into zombies, chaos ensues, and Dr. Gideon is able to escape. Leon does get a chance to show us that he is still definitely got it at 50. Leon's handler informs him that Victor owns the nearby Rhodes Hill Chronic Care Center. As he looks down his blackened, infected hand, Sherry Birkin informs him that they are running out of time. Grace awakens strapped to a gurney, her blood being collected for some unknown purpose. She frees herself, oh so quietly. Here, she has her first encounter with the girl. Holy shit, I was not prepared for how scary this encounter was. This intro area, avoiding the girl, is just so perfectly crafted and just awful, awful, awful. I was so tense the entire time. The girl is entered by a bright light and crawls around the ceiling to jump out and scare Grace, and me, at just the worst times. Grace is able to open the gate to the main area, but gets dragged back into the darkness by the girl. Meanwhile, Leon arrives and is greeted by a nurse who is expecting him, and oh no, zombies happen. And weirdly, this hospital has multiple chainsaws. Nice excuse for him to kick some ass and get impaled by a chainsaw, if you are me. Arriving just in time to save Grace with a few good headshots from the comically large and incredible Requiem pistol, the girl goes down. I know there is zero chance she is dead, but please, for my scared little heart, let it be so. Another gate closes and separates Grace and Leon. Not before he tosses her his gun, with one whole bullet. Be sure not to waste on anything that doesn't die in one hit. Grace finds a blind girl named Emily who looks an awful lot like a young Grace trapped in a level 3 cell. The other cell is empty with a hole in the wall. Weird. Anyways, Grace explores the west wing and the east wing, doing some typical but enjoyable Resident Evil puzzle solving to find 3 quartz cubes to unlock the door in the main hall. God, it must have been a nightmare to work here. What the fuck? There are a lot of great moments here with the singing / screaming ladies, Chunk, Gideon being Gideon, and so on.
There's no escaping your destiny.
Eventually, Grace finds the last puzzle box with the last promised quartz inside, but the symbols are worn out and only the braille is left. Wait a minute, let's go grab that blind girl. She can read braille. After a tense hold the door situation, Emily gets the quartz, but god damn it, the girl is back. She takes Emily and disappears into the basement. Oh, fuck me. I really, really don't want to go down there. Ugh. Before we deal with my version of hell, we get a nice little reprieve as Leon in the care center, who, after rejecting the advances of Dr. Gideon, goes on a nice zombie rampage, killing a different chunk.
Sorry, but I'm not on the menu.
Getting access to the director's office.
Well, that's my cardio for the week.
But, sadly for me, we are then back as Grace. In the dark basement. God, I hate this basement. No, 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 no. The girl is locked Emily in a cell, and you need to get 3 fuses in order to get her out. A lot of jump scares, close calls, and a river of blood later. Grace grabs Emily and makes it on the elevator just in time. Whew. Oh, wait, just kidding. The girl can climb. Oh, God, help. Help. Ah! Fuck me. That was tense. I was 100% sure Grace lost a leg there. God damn. Grace and Emily finally go outside. They run into Harry with his helicopter, but his mean old boss stole the key, so naturally Grace has to go get it. A helicopter is always a safe bet. Of course, this innocuous building is actually hiding some sort of giant blood research lab. What the hell?
What the hell?
After finding the key, Grace overhears Gideon giddily confirming that she is the one that they have been looking for. What a goober. No longer needing this research, he sets off the self-destruct. Dear God, there's so much blood down here, and Grace has to go through all of it. Yikes. Well, anyways, the helicopter getaway isn't so smooth, crashing not too far away. Harry gets "I'm a leaf on the wind" and Emily is not looking good. Oh, and also there are zombies everywhere. It's okay though. Leon swoops in to save the day and ramp up his mighty impressive kill count, while Grace carries Emily further into some facility hidden under the church. Here Grace is finally able to end the girl's miserable existence, flooding the area with light and downing her for good. But it is too late for Emily. She's gone. And worse than that, she turns into a hideous, mutated monster. And if it wasn't apparent until now, it's almost impossible to ignore. Emily and the girl were sisters, experimented on with the T-virus. Leon arrives to kill Emily, despite Grace's pleas. A despondent Grace leaves a sickly Leon. She willingly goes with Gideon, who meets with his unseen benefactor, Zeno. Real Albert Wesker vibes? The hell is up with that?
I'm waiting for you, Grace.
She leaves with them. Their destination? Raccoon City. The first part of Raccoon City doesn't have much in the way of an interesting plot. There's a giant spider, which really freaked me out. Leon discovers the remains of a BSAA camp. Has to do a lot of pretty insane exploration in order to get the parts for a detonator to blow up a wall to chase Grace further into Raccoon City. Big revelation that there are zombies here. The nuclear blast should have wiped out all life. Odd. Leon finds detonator parts, and incredibly luckily, a motorcycle, and zooms off to the decaying city. Of course, Gideon is here, and after a pretty off the walls, literally, no way, no, this is not possible. What the fuck is happening? This is vertical. This is fucking vertical. Chase that ends in an actual motorcycle joust. Gideon dies. Definitely not going to see him again. That would be impossible. At the end of the road, where else should Leon end up but the Raccoon City Police Department? Kismet. Hope I'm using that word right. I'm not going to look it up. I'm going to give RE9 here a lot of props. This section could have been so much longer and so much heavier on the fan service. But honestly, it's pretty quick, and I think that works really well. Leon gets to reminisce on his horrific first day on the job. We as a player get to remember the horrors of what took place nearly 30 years ago. And oh yeah, Wesker is a frickin' pervert. Leon eventually encounters Grace and Zeno, and is generous enough to hold off long enough for Zeno to dump some exposition on us. Everybody wants to get to Raccoon City to acquire Elpis, Oswald Spencer's last virus. Capable of mind control, it would be the most powerful bioweapon in existence. The Raccoon City bomb wasn't launched to destroy the zombie population, but to hide Elpis. Zeno shows Grace that she is the key, and clones like Emily and her sister were attempts to duplicate Grace to unlock Elpis. Is Grace the original, or just the only successful clone? We were transported back in time to the Raccoon City orphanage in 1990. As a horrified clone, Chloe, awakens to see her sisters missing from their beds. And turns out they have been turned into some mindless, creepy, doll-like beings intent on killing everyone they encounter. Super, 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 super scary stuff. I absolutely hated this section. Well done, Capcom, I guess. Chloe manages to evade her zombie sisters and escape into a lab known as ARC, below the orphanage. Here she discovers the horrifying truth about her existence. She's being experimented on with a version of the T-virus as an attempt to carry forward the memories of another human, particularly that of Umbrella founding father, Oswald Spencer. Chloe is captured and sedated by Umbrella scientists, and her story ends. She and countless other clones were likely euthanized when this sick and twisted experiment failed. Back in the present, Leon confronts Zeno, who deploys a familiar-looking tyrant to chase Leon. This culminates in a battle between Leon and the tyrant, which, despite being entirely unnecessary, I thought was pretty fun. It had to feel good for Leon to beat the shit out of this Mr. X wannabe. There's not much left of the orphanage, but Leon is able to traverse his way through the ruins, and after another probably necessary fight with an old foe with a new face, Plant 43 this time, Leon is finally able to enter ARC. He is almost immediately ambushed by some elite soldiers. After dispatching them, he engages in an axe fight with their commander, who might be Hunk. A little fuzzy in the lore details here, nothing explicitly said. Regardless, a pretty cool atmospheric fight. Leon catches up to Grace and Zeno at the central refining system. Zeno insists that Grace knows the password, with the catch that a wrong password will destroy Elpis for good. Leon and Grace escape through some of that magical bullshit that only happens in Resident Evil games. Let me be clear, I love the bullshit. Despite clearly dying, Leon still has time for some camp.
I feel like $1 million.
Love this man. To escape this dump, literally, Grace and Leon have to split up, and yay, liquors everywhere. It comes to light that Zeno is part of the Connections, basically the Resident Evil universe's Illuminati, responsible for pulling the strings on most of the events in the series. As Grace makes her way to the center, she finds a terminal, and is finally able to see what was on that floppy disk Alyssa hid at the Wrenwood Hotel. An interview with the man himself, Umbrella CEO, Oswald Spencer. He claims that he is plagued by guilt, and that Elpis, aka the Goddess of Hope, is his lasting legacy. As the interview ends, Oswald is handed his adopted child, Grace, his hope. Meanwhile, Leon is scratching, crawling, begging his broken body to get to the end. He collapses at the final door. Grace carries him inside, telling him that she has a plan. Grace is presented with two options: destroy or release Elpis. Echoing the words of Oswald and her mother, Grace realized what it is that the creator desires: hope. Elpis is released. Zeno immediately injects himself with one of the vials, but should've thought that one through, Zeno. It instantly cures him of his infection and robs him of his powers. Oh hey, a one-armed Dr. Gideon arrives. And surprisingly, he is unbelievably jazzed that Spencer's last will was to render all bioweapons completely useless, throwing the world into anarchy. Gideon grows a new arm, decapitates Zeno, and sets the facility to self-destruct. Grace cures Leon before it all comes crashing down. One final battle, Leon versus Dr. Gideon. Luckily, Victor pulls out an RPG that Leon steals to instantly kill him. Or maybe not. He's a nemesis! Okay, I don't 100% understand what that means beyond being some sort of borderline indestructible regenerative force, but he's a giant tentacle monster blob now. Leon does some Leon things and takes him down for good. Grace and Leon prepare for the end. But it's okay, some BSAA agents swoop in to save the day with a message from one Captain Redfield. Wonder what he has to say. Where the hell were you, Chris? Leon tells Sherry he's an antiviral with her name on it, and comforts Grace. And then drops this frickin' bombshell.
I wish we could have saved Emily.
Grace, I didn't hit any of her vitals. She could still be alive.
What are you saying?
Maybe we can save her.
I'm not even mad. That's some next level bullshit. I love it. We find out that Grace adopts Emily, and she can see now, and everybody seems to be okay. FBI boss man, who is apparently innocent, I still don't believe it, insists on Grace's full report on the truth behind Raccoon City. The end. Well, some BSA agents at ARC get murdered by what looks like Hunk's elite guard. They grab some package before the wolves can get it. No clue what that's about. Hopefully setting up some DLC. Well, I still have lots of questions, but for the most part, I think I understand the overarching plot here, barring any batshit retcons in a DLC or something. Grace is basically a nobody, or at least not some perfect clone of Spencer. I like that approach. It's a novel idea. As someone with a soft spot in my heart for the Star Wars sequel trilogy, I really love when Rey was a nobody. I think that's just as interesting as being someone. Spencer's exact motivations are impossible to ascertain. I personally don't truly believe he was rehabilitated or was experiencing massive amounts of guilt over his life's work, but I do think having an adopted child certainly influenced his opinion of the future. I have two mostly complementary theories about Elpis and why Spencer did all of this. Number 1. After realizing that he couldn't carry on his legacy by transferring his memories to another body, I think Spencer hyper-focused on doing all he could to make sure that no one could disrupt his legacy. Elpis was one final fuck you to Umbrella and to the Connections. This gave him complete control over the future, not in an anarchy way that Gideon was spouting on about, but in an I am your god, your creator. I made this world of bioterrorism, I'm going to end this world of bioterrorism. He believed himself the Alpha and Omega. Number 2. I believe he adopted Grace because of her striking similarities to the cloning experimentation done at Ark under his watch. No matter how evil Spencer was, experimenting on those innocent children all of those years had to have some negative effect on his psyche. Leaving Grace in the care of Alyssa Ashcroft, about as good of a person as exists in this universe, solidifies that he really did care for Grace. In taking care of another life, he realized that legacy isn't in living forever, but in providing a better future for those you love. A future you will never get to see. A blind hope. Okay, that ended up being a way more detailed summary of the game than I intended. I just really found myself enjoying talking about RE9. I really love it. Still too soon to say how it ranks all time, but it's an absolute gem in my book. I love how goofy Resident Evil can be, and I love how unbearably frightening it can be as well. For the most part, Requiem balanced these two sides of the coin perfectly. I laughed a lot, and I wanted to hide and cry a lot. Not many games can do that without just being utter garbage. Maybe part of that is because of the history of Resident Evil, one that I really need to understand better. I'm willing to allow just about anything to happen on screen because I have seen Chris punch that boulder, beyond quip about Bingo right after witnessing a horrific murder, or Ethan Winters magically gluing his arm back into place. It's almost like after all this time, Resident Evil is incapable of jumping the shark. Or it's jumped the shark so many times, jumping the shark becomes meaningless? I don't know. If you haven't, please go play this game. Lord knows we need more focused single-player games with a reasonable runtime. Good news, I'm now playing all the Resident Evil games I can in roughly chronological order. And I'll be streaming it all on Twitch. I just finished the OG Resident Evil from 1996, and oh boy, it was something.
Just as I thought.
I think you should stay away from Barry, Jill.
So come hang with me and Goose, sometimes, and tell me what these games mean to you on stream or down below in the comments. I need to see this through from start to finish. Then I get to rank them all. Man, I love ranking things. If you like this at all, please subscribe or drop a comment. Enough rambling. In the words of Leon,
I guess this is my stop.